Afternoon, everyone. I'm here to talk about a recent acquisition Manus has just made in Côte d'Ivoire. Very recent, about 2 weeks ago we announced this, so it's all very fresh. Disclaimers. Manus has got exploration area in Tanzania. We've been trying to complete an acquisition there for the last 18 months. It's been somewhat held up by the current situation in Tanzania with regard the changes in mining legislation there, which has been somewhat challenging, and I'm sure it's been spoken by a number of previous presenters around the situation there. We're moving on and focusing on an exploration area in Côte d'Ivoire. We've picked up around 1,300 square kilometres of unexplored greenstone belt there. Manus is it's been around for about 10 years, previously operating in Kyrgyzstan in Central Asia. We sold our project there for 10 million US, banked most of that, still got most of it in the bank. We have Resolute and Perseus on the register, so we've got a pretty strong shareholder base, particularly with focus in Africa, and cash balance still remaining of about 9.5 million today. Very low EV, exploration success will generate significant returns for investors. Mark Calderwood's pretty well known around the industry as chairman. I'm CEO, and Dave Kelly is there from Resolute, and Susmit Shah is also Kenyan-born, been around Africa for a long time working there. We have a relatively low EV. We're really just a cash box at the moment with a couple of good project areas. Resolute are a significant shareholder. History, I won't go through this in any detail, but as I said, we were in Kyrgyzstan, moved to Tanzania, and now working in Côte d'Ivoire. We're a focused explorer, much like the previous presentation. Our aim is to generate projects and move them on. We have, having a couple of significant shareholders, we have the capacity to do that both in-house and to send projects outside when they get to that point. Côte d'Ivoire, I probably don't need to speak much about, but it's one of the more highly prospective and sought-after areas of ground anywhere, relatively unexplored, significant greenstone belts, significant production, emerging production within Côte d'Ivoire itself, but in the whole craton is now very significant. Côte d'Ivoire, our two project areas in the west, we have what we're calling the Gonsan project. It's near Ity, the Ity mine, in the western side of Côte d'Ivoire, up against the Liberian border. And then the second project area is near Bouake in the central east. I'm going to move through these pretty quickly because, I mean, obviously this is largely new. We've only just acquired the licenses, so there's not really a huge amount of information in terms of exploration data, but there is significant prospectivity on both of the license areas. Sorry, wrong way. In particular, the Bouake North project, it's around 330 square kilometres. Very attractive geology, a sliver of greenstones with a series of volcanics held originally by Newcrest. Pointer on this? Sorry, I just managed to kill the slides. Held originally by Newcrest to the north and south, who had done a reasonable amount of exploration on those tenements. They had discovered some reasonably sizable gold anomalies to the north and the south of this area. This area was held originally with a large chunk of forestry reserve in it. That's been excised out of the leases now, so these can now be explored. There is a reasonable size artisanal operation within the leases, and that sits interestingly on a fairly large geophysical anomaly, which suggests that there may be something of an initial target for us to look at. 13 Ks of strike on two prospective geological sequences in the east and the west. large amounts of ground. We're cashed up to explore. We'll get in and do exploration work aggressively to try and show whether these things have any value or not. If they have value, we'll find a buyer readily. The second area is a large package of licences. Well, it's a large area of 3 licences in the west of the country. It's much more difficult terrain, jungle country, higher, thick lateritic soils, relatively challenging exploration area, but it abuts it's alongside the very attractive, very prospective Eddy gold mine that's Endeavour owned. We are immediately to the east of that and to the north, and basically surround it to some degree. So whilst it's challenging, it's also highly prospective. So there'll be a significant amount of work committed to unpick what's going on there. Just touch very briefly on Tanzania. We've got about 35 licences within in the Victoria Goldfields in south of Mwanza near Kahama. We've been working on these quietly, although the acquisition still hasn't been completed because of the challenges in Tanzania. They've basically put a moratorium on any licence transfers, so that's really held up the transaction that we've had to purchase these. But we've managed to do a fair amount of work on those projects, relogged, looking at the resources. A little bit hard to know how Tanzania is going to go. The new licensing commission should start soon, so there is the prospect that the licences will get transferred soon, in which case we would hope to continue on with the acquisition and continue exploration pretty soon. But it's really out of our hands to a large degree until that happens. In summary, look, I'll just say that we now have a significant land holding in a pretty attractive location in Côte d'Ivoire, as well as the area in Tanzania. The work, there's been minimal to no work done on any of the prospect areas that we have picked up, and with the cash that we have in the bank, we're able to rapidly do exploration work on these. We don't have to come back to market, so basically we've got the capacity to do full exploration work to get to the point to discover, to see whether there's something of value there or not. We were looking at more areas within Côte d'Ivoire. We hope to pick up some more ground. We're also looking outside of Côte d'Ivoire and have a reasonably aggressive program of picking up additional license areas where possible in other similar jurisdictions, basically focusing on, I guess, higher risk, unexplored areas where cash is able to bring things to play fairly quickly. We have a very supportive shareholder group which gives us the ability to move forward with any transactions, exploration work that we want to do, and so we're basically able to generate or can be a project generator for our shareholders in that mode. It's a very quick presentation because there's, to be honest, not a lot of meat in it yet, but I just wanted to leave one slide up there. Having spent the last 15 years or so kicking around in unusual jurisdictions, I thought I'd just summarise my own experience in terms of how to evaluate jurisdictional risk. And a couple of points, I think the key points is never be sure that things are good, because they'll nearly always turn bad at some point, so plan for it. If it's bad, don't just think logically it's going to get better, because logic doesn't apply in these situations. Usually it's not the cause for the problem, usually it's something else, so logic won't get you out of it. Being pregnant and crash-strapped is no fun for anyone. Doesn't matter whether you're 17 or a mining company. Make sure you've got enough money to get through whatever period is ahead of you, and make sure that you go out and get more money when you need it. Don't leave it till too late. Have a basket of eggs. Don't just assume that because you're in an area and you know what it is that you're going to be able to deal with the problems that are there. split your jurisdictions, go for multiple projects. Okay, thank you.